NFT project that's super
Oh,
satanic.
milady.
Yeah, you were like name dropping your like milady.
Interact with them on Twitter or whatever, so I was like, how the fuck do these people know?
Yeah, but like down home, you're just like hanging with the homies from Charleston, right, brother? Yeah, in your like Silver Lake apartment. So all the homies from Charleston who live in Silver Lake are like down with you, bro.
You'd be surprised how many of them there are.
I mean, yeah, everyone. No one from LA is actually from LA.
Yeah, they're usually from Ohio.
Usually, yeah. Where are you from? So you're from Charleston, South Carolina, originally, right?
Yeah.
All right. And when did you like move to LA?
When I was 21.
And did you take the whole Palm Tree Daddy thing from like Baron Machat? Did you like take that name?
I came when I was like 17. I just randomly came with it, made it my Instagram name.
Oh, God. I was just wondering.
Years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I got it from. I think it was a joke on Champagne Poppy. Yeah.
Champagne Poppy. Got it.
I think it was a similar thing, but like going for like what was my local vibe.
Yeah. And what's the current climate out there in like LA right now? What's you know, what's going on?
Nothing really. I mean, that I know about.
I'm not even talking about hipster shit. I'm just in your life, like, you know, with the people where you're at.
Pretty mellow. Just eating good, working, playing banjo, fucking around, watching sports, football season. So,
Do you have a job?
Mary's like, do you have a job? Crazy.
Yeah, I'm an accountant.
You're an accountant.
I'm an accountant for a toy company.
For a toy company. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, more satanic baloney, bunch of dolls.
Just doing the numbers for the dolls.
Yeah, controlling cash accounts.
Was that what you dreamed of doing when you were a child?
I don't dream of working.
What was your?
I don't dream of
oriented
leaving.
person.
What was your? What did you want to be when you grew up? When you were a kid? When you were a child?
I just wanted to travel and eat good and have fun.
Really? When you were like 6 years old, you were like, I want to travel and eat good and have fun. The having fun part, I understand, the traveling part, but you really wanted to like eat good as a child? Children don't care about food. You're a fat kid at heart.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Huge fat kid. Yeah.
Are you still a fat kid?
Yeah, I watch every episode of Top Chef.
Wow. We had a sec. Right.
It's like a huge part why you want to be an accountant, so I can eat whatever I want when I want.
What? So you can just Grubhub, like keep.
No, I'm a Grubhub. I'm much better than that. I'm a Grubhub.
Oh, you go to restaurants.
Well, no, I just I'll cook. You know, go to a restaurant. I'm a modern man. Gotta do what you gotta do. I can't afford to eat out every fucking meal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
So it's working for you.
I'm not a career guy. Nope. Never wanted to be anything.
Never wanted to be anything. And accounting is just like, you know, what do you when you go to work, like that 8 hours of work a day, like are you enjoying your life, or are you just like getting through it? Like what's the vibe?
Totally shutting off, man. I'm turning those days into hours, man.
Turning those days into hours. Oh, we got an op in the chat. Nice. Okay.
Oh, we got a hater?
Oh, no, just like a legit op. Ops are just, you know, lovers at the end of the day. Hate and love are so similar. Like they're so ridiculously similar. Bro, it's just attention. It's what you choose to spend your attention on. And, you know, if you're going to choose to hate Daylife Army, that's great. We actually encourage it. Like, go ahead and do the thing. Choose to spend your hate. How's this going? How's your, like, chin thing? Yeah, but you've been around for a lot of time, and you've, like, never washed. You've never done it. You just like You just want to be super armchair about the thing and just watch and see people come and go and do the thing. What's up? You feel like changing that on live, bro?
No.
Doing it for the first time in front of a live audience?
I enjoy being, what do you call it? Well, one of the few, what do you call it? Oracles.
Orbiters.
Watching you guys.
Lazy orbiters.
Future.
Are you gonna turn this into a book deal down the road?
No, I can't write. I'm an idiot. I can't write.
Bro, you can just plug it into fucking. No one can do anything anymore. Everyone just uses the Chat GPT. Their skills aren't even real anymore.
I'll use that.
That's good that you don't choose to commune with demons every day in that specific way. I'm sure it's hard to avoid living in LA.
Yeah, I just do math problems for a living.
Yeah, Excel sheets.
I don't do words. Yeah, just Excel sheets and
Just
programs.
smashing Excel.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, okay. So as someone, this is a specific question to someone on the outside who has seen people come and people go. Like, what is like the arc look like to you of someone who, like, you know, wasn't in the thing, then they joined the thing, then they left?
You can't generalize it.
Come on, bro. You're an accountant. You can't just crunch the numbers. Like, come on, bro.
Not on people like that, no.
You absolutely can crunch the numbers on people.
No, we're all super individual.
Everyone's so different, bro. Everyone's a unique snowflake.
Everyone in daylight.
Bro, you can.
I'm sure. Everyone's not that different, y'all, right?
Yeah, everyone comes in. Everyone who comes and does.
Be a real nut to be hanging with y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure, but you know, the thing is, as nutty as anyone is who comes and does the thing, as different as we are from each other, the central experience is pretty the same. Everyone washes, and that's just what they do. And then, you know, then they choose to leave, and they usually cancel us on the way out. You know, some people choose to not. It's kind of like a, you know, whatever. Usually the people with more melanin don't cancel, and the people with less melanin go and try to, you know, milk it for as much as they can get.
Did Tom and Sid try to cancel, or is it just
Tom, whatever, douchebag, I don't even want to say his name. Douchebag, like, went and, like, stole a bunch of stuff from us on his way out. He's just a thief. So instead of like trying to cancel it, I mean, he did in his own way. He just stole, and stealing is not a wash. Like, trying to cancel us is kind of a wash in a way. So he actually, in a way, had the most disgraceful leaving, you know, of anyone.
It's hard out there in the streets, man. You gotta watch your pockets.
It is hard out there in the streets. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thanks. Do you have any questions for us?
Nah. Best of luck to you guys. I'll continue to orbit and watch your journeys.
I'm sure you will.
Take it easy.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait. I didn't mean to say wait. Let's see. Do we have another person?
There's too much coolness in the chat. I had to exit.
Too much coolness?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
There's two LA adjacent bad boys talking about things and being cool.
You had to go take a nap?
Yeah.
I was trying to ask questions. Was I like trying to be cool?
A little bit, yeah.
Sorry, bro.
It's all right. It's a process. Decoolification. I'm being my own racket right now.
What's your own record right now?
Oh, like kind of a bitch to anyone who's around.
Yeah. That is true. You do love that. Mm-hmm. So you just had to exit out of the scenario to not be a bitch?
Basically, yeah. If I was going to be on that call, I would have been such a bitch to him. So, I did not partake.
You should just like transfer your bitch energy to me. You should just be writing down things to say, and I'll just read them. Literally, the next time you do that, just write down your bad thoughts on a piece of paper, and I'll read them to whoever the person is. Okay, so who's in the chat right now? Please. Oh, we need to post the thing with the phone number. You're leaving this up to me. Okay. 70.
I forgot. I literally forgot how close it is to Halloween out there.
Oh, it's pretty. I can't even spell. I'm so bad. I'm so bad, y'all.
You're having a moment.
I'm having a moment.
I'm such a bad guy.
I am having feelings right now about how bad I am.
Why do you think right now? Did you just hit a strong dose of Satanism?
What do you mean? I've been having that for the last like couple days.
I kind of noticed it yesterday, and now I'm noticing it again. Why?
Why have I been Huh?
Why have you been feeling that?
Oh, I just feel like I'm single-handedly holding back this organization. Let's see.
Gotcha. So powerful of you.
I think I am powerful. That's the thing.
Yeah. I guess that's probably less of a bad place for you than it is for me.
What?
You're more of a big deal. I'm supposed to be less.
I mean, and some.
Calling you?
Yeah, they are. Hello? Jej can jump on in a couple hours. How's this going? I can do my video.
I'm annoyed that the YouTube keeps like kicking it off.
Has it been saving the videos or no?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Well, we have more things planned, but okay. We're at the 12. We're past the 12:30 mark, so I think we can start doing stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Is this already working? It just like logged me onto your Instagram when I got on.
That's weird. Why don't you want to finish your little content thingy?
That's what I'm gonna do.
Perfect. I got a little headache. I'm trying to chill out.
Bro, what's been happening? All right, I can add to my story now, I think. All right. So this is like a live where we're just like going about our days also. So let's do this. All right, so we're just gonna keep going with the theme of these little 90-second videos, I guess. And the theme that I was talking about, now I have to go find that note. Where's that note? Oh, okay, so these are my desires for the future. My WASP wife and my 7 children and financial stability. At one point, I stated a desire for 7 children. specifically with Mary. And yeah, I don't know about 7 anymore. But I am willing to have 7 if that's what it takes to, have a boy, because I really need to have a son to pass on the Brooke name to and just do the thing. And who knows, maybe there will be other families involved in that, down the line. Okay, so I will just post that and then keep talking for another 30.
Make sure you mention the live.
What?
At the end, you could talk about the live. So people watching your story check it out.
And yeah, I also want to live on a farm or a ranch with a bunch of baby animals. And what?
They have to stay babies.
Yeah, they're locked in a continuum where they stay babies. No, the thing about animals is they have babies, and that's a wonderful thing. So there's always baby animals, being born into the ranch. At least that's the concept of this ranch. And oh, and then just as an aside, bro, that there is a live video that you can join and be a part of. So, oh, right. Yeah. On Daylife Mary's channel, I'm so spacey, bro. There is we are going live for the whole day. So please join and be a part of it. Okay. Yeah. Get into it. We're doing it. And I think that call may have been Nick Staniford that I missed. So oh yeah, I forgot I'm still recording this. It's confusing because I'm recording myself in like 3 places. Get on Daylife Mary. Get on the Daylife Mary chat to watch. Okay, let me call that number back. Let's see, maybe it's a special caller. Okay. Please just let me make a phone call.
Who are you pleading to?
Yahuwah or my phone. I don't know. Maybe I'm pleading in the wrong places. Call. Hello?
I'm going to count that last call as a URL contact.
He did sign up.
Yeah, he literally did. Update on the tires. Now only one of them is leaning up against the prison bars.
Which one of us is it?
Oh, that's a good question. What do you think?
I don't know, bro. Is it you? Let's ask each other. Is it you?
No.
Oh, so it's me?
Is it you?
I guess so. I guess if it's me, if it's not you, it's me.
I just said what I first thought of when you asked. I don't know.
So you've escaped the prison?
Maybe.
Or transcended your thinking of it as a prison, perhaps?
Probably.
Hello, people in the chat who have just joined. Pisces Dad and Michelle something. And Yunuia. Apologies for my butchering of pronunciation.
I like one of those people
Stanifer.
that Miriam.
Interesting.
Who I remember she was trying to get us. She was like, "I'm gonna get you taken she was playing a game for a while, but then she got mad and she was like, "Just so you know, the FBI is coming for you. They've talked to me already."
It's a bummer that I literally forgot all about that person until you just brought them up. I literally had forgotten completely who they were, what their thing was, and now I remember.
It's a bummer that you remember?
It is a little bit of a bummer to remember. I was kind of enjoying, like, totally forgetting. It's not that much of a bummer. I don't know what they're up to these days. That would be an interesting guest. I can't record. I can't even. I literally wrote in the chat, call for my number to be on the chat. Do you mind oh, you can't get in there. You're phone free right now.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter because I didn't pin it. All right, here we go. We're about at hour 5. Pretty good. What's on our agenda? May I handle the agenda?
You can look at it.
Calls, break. Oh, there's a break somewhere in here. Oh, the break's after 13:30. Imagine being 30 and having scheduled breaks in your life. It's almost like rationing butter.
Someone say something?
What? No. Stop trying to read the chat from bed.
From 10 feet away.
Did someone say something?
I hate being not able to look at my phone or my computer. Oh, you're saying things. I get it all. It's coming clear. What?
What?
What is that recording thing? Press 3 to record again.
I'm doing other things and making calls at the same time.
I'm satisfied with the message. That's not you.
Okay, I finally got the comment the way. Okay, thank you. Having a little bit of tech difficulties, chat. Has anyone have we ever had like a Twitch streamer really like get on our thing? It would be interesting to see like as someone who streams for a living, watch it all, enjoy DLA, and turn their stream into a watch it all platform. That would be very interesting. Interesting.
You know what I just had a moment about?
What?
Like, I usually have hang-ups where I feel shame based on, like, my thing is really, as a bird, I'm very concerned with my image. So I'm always like, when I feel like the type of people that I've been in my past that just end up being my audience because of who I came from or whatever, like, a lot of times in the past, it's mostly like, my intellect, my brain, or my like conscious side of like knowing things is like, yeah, I don't care about those people judging me as crazy because I have a completely different set of priorities, and like I would want them to think I was crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Sort of. Yeah.
Well, I just had a moment where I felt it more than just in my head, where in my heart I was like,
You want to be crazy to those folks?
yeah, I was happy to not be thought of as sane or good or right, which is a really big thing for me, looking right or wrong. I just had a moment.
Hey, chat.
Just chat.
Hey, Luella. Thanks for jumping on. Everyone, if you want to call and be a guest, call 470-579-0414, and you can jump on the video. Okay. I have Ben left in our Miller. You give him a call.
Really?
No, we're not doing that?
Yeah, sure. I guess.
I'll do it later. Ooh. Tell me when you were down the switch for a little bit.
You need a break, Key?
I kind of do, bro.
We don't have to switch. You can just also take a break. Like I'm saying, this doesn't
we'll just be like two people in bed.
It really
from
doesn't
afar.
have to be on. That's like not possible. Not even, what would you call it? Recommended. Not even recommended.
What's up? What's up, y'all?
It's so far away.
This is gonna be the best. You're like trying to read the chat. You a shade thing? What did they shade? I can't cheat with my grandmother age.
Excuse me.
It's just the vibe. No, oh.
Your phone just died? Yes,
No,
it did.
No, it's not. It just does that now.
Oh, I see. You might need to produce some kind of truth and consequence post about that.
Also, like app off things just like disappear. Ooh.
Nice.
It's pretty lit. For anyone who comes in and just like listens to the chat.
I can't like be in so many things.
You can't.
Like watching
The delay.
myself with the delay.
Ooh.
It's
as it started feeding back into each other. Oh shit, it is. It's starting. It's
You're trying to
starting.
make a noise art. Ooh.
Okay, I'm done. I just wanted to see what it would look like to, an average chat viewer coming on.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so what's next on the agenda?
Probably a little talks about our topic. A little calls.
What is our topic?
Daylife Army careers.
Oh, I
Past
thought we
to
did that
present.
part.
We talked. I'm just saying we could say a little bit more about it.
Okay.
I don't think quite yet. Just in the many hours we have left. Part of it could be that. And then there's that one specific convo to have later who's coming on. And then just calls on camera, making some calls in the bathroom.
Don't say calls in the bathroom.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
I'm sorry.
You're being mean to me.
I mean anywhere, but not on the live.
First of all, I never do that. I don't go into the bathroom to make calls while on the live. I haven't done it before, and I won't do it ever again.
You have never done it though, but you'll never do it ever again.
No. They're gonna clip that part. They're gonna be like, they would make him go into the bathroom to make calls during live streams.
Yeah, just to stay in a chair without a back to tweet from.
I hate yogurt in the closet.
I hate yogurt in the closet.
You have a yogurt problem, which I don't know if you've gotten to the bottom of, but it's okay. We've moved on to deeper issues.
Mm-hmm. At least we recognized it as a consequence of autism.
Is that what we did?
Yeah.
Is it a consequence of autism? Eating yogurt slowly and
It's a
with your tongue?
I mean,
tongue thrust?
it is a combination of that and being like averse to different textures and food.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
But whatever. Everyone has some kind of something. It's not really like.
Not that special?
It's not that special. It's not a personality. Let me say that to specific white women. It's not a personality.
I wonder if people are watching this and looking at the sides of the bed that we sleep on and using it to determine our power dynamics.
Are you thinking about that?
I never used to sleep on this side of the bed, but I've just been sleeping on the side of the bed that does not have access to a nightstand, as an act of service.
Thanks for your service.
We've stayed in a lot of these hotels. Have you noticed that we've always been on this side facing that way?
I did not notice that until you just said it.
But now do you notice it?
Now I do notice it. What does it mean?
I mean, would we even know the difference if we were on the other side? But we've never been on the other side, right?
We haven't, so. I mean.
I remember when we used to stay, it was before your time, when we used to stay in Motel 6s, and Motel 6s had like one like this and then one like that. And whenever we'd switch from facing this way to facing that way, it always felt like a weird like paradigm shift. Because sometimes it would be like, when me and Tom were like staying in the car, and then we would, wash enough to get a room. So sometimes it would change on like a semi-daily basis of whether we'd have a room or not. And it would change between rooms like that. And it was always like, whoa. But in this matrix with you, we've chosen to always have like the window on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I've come to know. Maybe that's just what this room type is built. Like they're all on this side. Maybe. I have questions.
Bring them to the proper.
Call the manager. Oh, I want to take like a proper nap. I would love to nap on this live, like a proper nap. Just us. We just both go to sleep. It could be lit. It could be lit content. I don't know. That might be giving a little bit too much.
I don't think we're gonna do
I
that.
don't think we're gonna fall asleep
No.
on this chat. I would love it. I'm rarely this tired during the day, like this kind of tired right now. But these lives like take more out of me than they take a lot out.
Yeah, it's interesting too that to do this kind of live on an all day because it's not the end of the strong like we did last time. So we're kind of like ending it and then having another day stuff to do.
Oh yeah, last time it kind of like transitioned nicely into Shabbat.
Yeah.
Into our Shabbat, into our day of rest.
When you say Shabbat, it just connotates.
For you and for others, but for me, I know.
But only me, so therefore.
Therefore, it's fine. Well, all right. When do you want to get back to it? Get back to the chairs.
A few minutes.
Just 5 more minutes. Woo.
Nope.
Now the chat knows that. Do I say bless you? Whether I'm being a good boy or not, I get Gesundheits. If I'm in favor of that weak, in favor of that strong. It's a really chaotic society we live in. All right, if I stay in bed, I'm going to sleep.
Okay. Just crunching along the ground.
Just crunching, trying to get back in my slippers. All right. Have a seat. Welcome. It's the both of us. We're back. I always wave at people after they've left.
It's a great practice.
Oh, hey.
So now we've like switched where our YouTube just keeps hopping off and on. And we have many YouTubes,
Right.
not on Instagram.
Oh, I have to make sure they're all properly labeled. I'm sure that you will do that because you love properly labeling stuff. It's time for a hat switch, energy switch. Okay. I think that'll get me what I need. I think that'll give me what I need. Might be time for seat position switch. All right, what's next agenda?
I just want to say, when I raise this eyebrow, there's a mark from when I got hit by a line drive softball by the coach of the softball team when I was 11 years old. Doesn't happen on that
What
side.
does that mean in your story?
Means that I've just
Can't trust men.
men are the evil.
You were how old?
11?
Was that like when your dad was still around?
Yeah, actually. I must have not been 11. I was 10. Yeah. I was 10.
I remember when you tried to convince me that softballs were harder than baseballs,
I know.
and that the name was just
I still kind of stick by that, but you could look it up and probably prove me wrong, but I feel like it's true.
I will.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Well, why don't we, while we're waiting to make other calls, take a little time to talk about cursing and lying.
Softball is definitely harder. Oh, harder to play. That's okay. Never mind. Sorry.
Talk
I
about
just didn't want to get into the lie.
cursing and lying. I have a cursing problem. This
and I
guy.
have a lying problem. Ernie and Bert.
And I would say that there's conscious cursing and unconscious cursing, and the majority of my cursing is unconscious. Like, rarely do I think a curse upon thee, but
Rarely.
Sometimes
it is. No?
Sometimes it's like, it's not that word, but it's like, I hate you and you
Go
suck.
die.
Go die. And
How
I would
often
think of
does
that
that
as
happen?
conscious. I would think of that as like conscious cursing.
And
I would think that still happens at least once as strong. You and the generals are my most frequent victims.
Of like the go
Curse.
die one.
Yeah. And
That's why I've been dying recently. I've been wondering why.
yeah. And I think, unconscious cursing is more of a just like a kind of like knee-jerk reaction that I have to kind of just like want to kick people in the teeth who try to get either close to me or who are displaying power or vying for or threatening my power. Power is like the main thing involved with the cursing. It's like when I feel out of power from someone and like blame them for taking away my power, or feel frustrated in a way like powerless, like I can't control something or someone, it's when the cursing flares up. So yeah, like the big healing crisis I was talking about earlier, the big thing I'm like refusing to get over and making a bunch of drama around not getting over. For me, it's like not being a cursor, not needing to curse people. That's what I'm trying to get to and struggling with. What about you?
I have a lying problem.
Mm-hmm.
I lie. Trying to lie less to zero lies.
Mm-hmm.
Living in my complete integrity. And I used to do more overt lying, just like straight up telling something that isn't true for a specific purpose. And now it's more like lies of commission, which are more like
omission, actually.
Sorry.
Flip that.
I used to do commission more, and then overt commission, covert omission. Very confusing out there, you wordsmithies. Wordsmithies. So more omission where I don't tell the whole truth of what's going on, and therefore kind of PR stuff into like, this is technically true, but like, is it? Like, you're leaving out some context that's very important. That's currently my favorite one to do. And I guess lying kind of is like ties into gaslighting a little bit. Any of y'all seen that movie Bodies, Bodies, Bodies? Not to like plug A24, but there's a great scene in it with whoever that fucking douchebag is. Pete Davidson. Where like they literally grifted some dialogue from me where I'm like, oh, what? You're gonna call me gaslighter? That's like a catch-all. What do you learn that on Twitter or something? What are you gonna call me next? A narcissist? That's like, I probably have a little speech like that, like once a strong.
I've heard that speech.
You heard that speech before, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
I've heard that speech like, from you before.
Exactly.
Exact word for word, yeah.
So, writer's strike, y'all.
Writer's strike. When will DLA have a writer's strike?
Our own, where we'd stop writing the content for the Pain Matrix. I don't know. Who was the caller on the last live who was like about to join, wants to be like a TV writer, and is like, now's the time to do it because like, the writer's strike is the time to get in.
That's funny.
I do remember who that was. It was Bob. So yeah, those are some problems that we have that we're working on getting through. Isn't that right?
That's right. That's right.
I have Christmas songs stuck in my head year round. And that's a problem. They really are, for a musical mind like me, they really bombard us for Christmas. They really like get all the earworms they're going to need for the rest of the year, and they put them all in there.
Remember DJ Earworm?
No.
I used to listen to some songs of it.
Wait, so what date in old time is the end of our year?
I don't even know.
How many days?
I would assume.
So wait, we have tomorrow is the first. Wait, when's the 28th?
I think it's probably
the 28th is on. Is the 28th is on the 23rd?
February is
okay.
The end of the year.
So what is 50? Okay, let's see. There's 28 days per month, so that's 2 months is 56 days. That's 2 months from our go day, which is the 23rd of October. Okay, let me do the math. What is, sorry, I have to like calibrate this. What is 56 days after October 23rd? December 18th. Okay. Next question. That's around Christmas. Our presents are going to be interesting. They're going to be like, what are we doing this animals?
Whoa, we entered a new level in the live. We've entered a new.
This is when I start to get silly.
Silly times.
The sillies are coming out. I've held on back them too long. I have a thing where my sillies, if I don't express them, they will just come out. And then it gets awkward. Because Mary's like not sure how much of the private life she wants to bring out into the thing. So safe with 0 viewers. Remember, one of my favorite moments of like your racket, which is like arrogant bracket, is when you went live and there was like someone on your live and you're like, oh yeah, I only have 1 viewer. Why don't you just leave so it's just 0 viewers? like the one person who was watching your live, you literally told them to leave as some sort of like flex.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, I didn't say it as a flex because I only had one. I literally was just like, wash or get off the live.
No, you.
Is this a separate time?
Yeah, I think you did that multiple times. This time was literally, you're kind of like, oh yeah, it's so stupid. I'm like dropping so much truth, and only one person's on the live. Why don't you just leave so it's like 0 people on the live?
I don't even remember that.
That one was crazy.
Yeah. I literally have no knowledge. I was thinking of the time when I was outside live and I literally fell out of my chair and I like told someone right before I fell off the chair, get off the live if you don't make a wash.
But that was the incident, but it was after you had made like some like snide comment about the fact that you only had one person on your live.
And this was like, what, 3 years ago?
When was that?
Yeah, it was 3 years ago. I've gotten marginally better at best, I would say. Better
at best?
Better at best.
3 years ago, I went to the hospital for a stomach problem.
That was fun.
I ate some food that was given to us by a witch, but it was my fault because I cooked it in its own fat. And
he was like, I want to get poisoned by this witch so that my crush Alberto can take me to
my 2 crushes.
The late night ER.
And then I ate like a patty melt made with bison that was like cooked in its own fat.
It was bad.
Tasted good.
You decided to fry the bread in the bison.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, yeah, we'll just, took all the meat grease and then just put the burger back in with the bread. And it tasted good in the moment, but it's disgusting. Yeah. I had that stomach issue happen many times during that period of my life.
And that was the period where you were pretending you didn't like me too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The coolness, the bad boys.
I would never fall for someone as uncool as this one.
If you're watching this and you, got land, multiple properties.
Or just one.
No, I'm about to say, shoot your shot.
Oh, at you?
Yeah.
Oh, bummer, bro. See, yeah. Okay, fine. Fine. Whatever. None of y'all got
short
the game.
Kings, 5'10".
5'10".
Multiple properties.
5'10" is not a short king.
For me. I'm
5'10" is not short. I'm like 6'2", but I'm just saying, like, for my brothers out there who are 5'10", don't listen to her. That's not short. That's average.
5'8". 5'8" for me. That's short because it's shorter than me. It's the push and pull. What's worth it more?
You do it. You would you would like stay a soldier?
Yeah.
And just go live with some like civilian man on their thing.
I'd probably brainwash them eventually, but yeah.
You would leave me
if the
land
was good enough. If the pockets were filled, if there was more money, a lot more.
She's not lying. She doesn't have very complicated wants.
I really don't, but I'm ashamed of them in some ways still. That's why sometimes I still look at my Twitter bios that are like prenup princess, and I'm like, what is that?
You hurt me, so I don't like you anymore. You're mean.
Yeah.
It's all money to you. That's all it is.
Which is so funny because, like, I don't even use money. But I wash it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's really the
what?
The like quiet time. It's the quiet live time.
How so?
It just feels that way. What time is it?
What time is it?
Yeah.
1:30 or 13:30.
I'm gonna do the dishes. You know what was the time where we did unconscious all day live?
What?
When the person we were staying with was unknowingly filming us 24 hours a day with their
she
Ring
knew.
camera. Yeah.
Didn't you tell her about it and then she went and like rewatched some of it or something?
Yeah. Or she was like, once I told her, she like went on and was like, oh yeah, I can see you guys.
Did you ask her to delete the footage?
I was such a cuck back then. I didn't even say anything.
Yeah.
At least she watched.
That was-
once, but after
She
that,
did?
After that, yeah. And then she got really mad after the first watch, like most white women. They do one watch and then they're like, it doesn't turn out like they planned, which I did to my own extent where I was like, what do I get now? Am I like on a group or what? But like other white women do it even more intensely. Like you watch once financially, to be clear, and then it's like the second time, it's like,
Yeah.
I will envy you. How dare you?
Did she say those words? I will end you.
No.
I remember that. That was the house that someone left candy outside of the house, and you like
A
found
platter
it. on the
of
lawn.
brownies and canned like desserts, like a whole
And
platter.
you like came inside and were like, I found this. Did you eat any of it? You did. didn't
I
you?
ate one piece before the generals were like, what? Throw it away. And then I threw it away. But I ate one piece, yeah.
Of gift candy that was left on your doorstep.
Yeah.
Good times. That was like in peak COVID times too.
Yeah. That's it.
Not the oh.
YouTube's the eye
You
in the
can't even
sky.
say- can you say that word, or you just can't say anything about that word?
You just can't say anything about that word.
Oh, gotcha. I always forget. I forget that.
Lawless. He wants to be lawless.
Well, did Elon Musk like end up kicking Kanye West off of Twitter for posting a swastika?
Yeah.
I love the whole like
Or
that
saying he was
game.
gonna go like nuclear or go, what was it?
No, but he didn't get kicked off for saying that. I think he got kicked off for posting like an image that was a cross between the Star of David and a swastika. And yeah, no one cares about current events though. We're not gonna go there. That wasn't even a current event. That was an old event. I remember when we used to go live and talk about the election. That was a good times, right?
No.
That was horrible.
You were so into it. You were following every Alexander Ali like live stream. We got to see that whole arc of Manic Good Boy rise and fall.
That was so intense. That was insane. How that all played out. Because he was like one of the chief architects for like I mean, whatever. No, he wasn't. It was all a fucking
Psyop.
huge psyop. Anyway, let's move past that subject. Okay. Let's get some more calls going. All right. Do we have like scripts for calls?
Yeah, actually.
Should we start using them?
Why don't you just wait and I will let you know when the time comes.
Because I could just use them on this live.
Nope. There's some like things that have to be done by me first when I have literally any time with my computer.
Well, so be it then.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something I could do, my decursification right now.
Huh? What did you say?
My little decursification, that's something I should do right now.
Oh, like you mean blessing, perhaps?
That too, but I was talking about something else.
Oh.
It's a sticky trash. It's a sticky trash.
Does everyone want to do a curse clearing live on the camera? We could do one with our people.
Yeah, sure.
You gotta get in for it.
Okay.
We gotta have the lead witch in recovery.
Mm-hmm. Pointer, middle finger.
By the power of the source, all curses are bound and defeated, and must leave me now to return to the source, to be revealed in the truth of what is, and absolved in the light once and for all, right now. So be it, let it be done, and it is so. By the power of the source, all curses are bound and defeated, and must leave me now to return to the source, to be revealed in the truth, and the truth of what is, and absolved in the light once and for all, right now. So be it, let it be done, and it is so. By the power of the source, all curses are bound and defeated, and must leave me now to return to the source, to be revealed in the truth, and the truth of what is, and absolved in the light once and for all, right now. So be it, let it be done, and it is so. Amen.
No.
Okay. We wouldn't even be at the halfway mark if we were going live for 12 hours. We wouldn't even be at the halfway. Oh, damn. Some crazy stuff's going on over there. What is topic number 3?
While you try calls and maybe you're just chilling, I think I'm gonna try doing a little meditation. Okay.
Okay.
How long do I do it for?
Let's get Jage on here. Hey, Jage. Hey, you want to get on the live? We're just talking. Oh, well, you and I. Okay, so now you're on speakerphone. So I have a guest on right now. This is Jage Halperin.
Hey.
And we were going to talk about. What were we going to talk about? We were going to talk about growing up rich. That's our topic. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's most specifically the way in which you would describe me as having a privilege in that regard is in the sense, as I was telling you before, of not so much the comfort, but the complete absence of fear. That was my defining characteristic growing up. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I hear you.
Yeah. So, I didn't have toys, right? My dad wouldn't buy me stuff. I never had nice clothes. I mean, it was nothing.
What kind of clothes did you have?
T-shirts. I mean, it was really just I had them, but it wasn't like you never know. I didn't have toys. Although the kids would all congregate at my house, but not.
But you didn't have toys, so what would y'all do?
We would make up. Oh, we had this thing called the Lost Boys. We were just making up stories.
Yeah, that's the thing. Children don't actually need toys.
They
There's.
we didn't have. I had a Nintendo, and I liked Nintendo. That was nice, but I wouldn't. It wasn't good enough to play all day long.
But did you go to public school or private school?
Public school. Yep, just a local. It was a nice school though. It was in Newton, Massachusetts, right? Which was the safest, best place you could ever grow up. It's interesting because I listened to Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Newton, but he's from another village in Newton. They're not all the same, and he's older than me. So he was like in the 70s in a different part of Newton with Louis C.K., right?
Right.
I was at Newton Center in 1990. You want to talk about safe? And I had a forest behind my house. I was in a cul-de-sac, and all the kids would come over and hang out at my house.
Yeah.
I was not a worldly at the time.
You were not worldly, is that what you said? You weren't worldly?
It was, it's probably a Freudian thing, but yes, both. I was not worried or worldly. And that's sort of the difference between a lot of the people you say grow rich. A lot of people think a certain thing, but they're nervous all the fucking time. They're nervous of their own parents. They're nervous of not fitting in. They're nervous of having the right fucking car. It sounds like fucking hell to me. I'm sorry for swearing, but I could never relate to that kind of rich, and I wouldn't be led in that.
But when you from when you were a little kid, like your dad had like nice. Like, what were you living in nice houses? Did you have?
Okay, so I was born in Boston, right? At that time, because my dad was still finishing his, because he didn't inherit money.
He didn't, or he did?
Did not. No, he did not inherit that.
Did he come from like a what class background is your dad?
Working class Jews from New York, but his dad became a doctor, so he had some upper middle class money.
Got it.
Didn't inherit it. And he didn't give much to my dad either. It wasn't. My dad made quite a, but my dad makes, seems to me like but he didn't have to work all the time. He was always in hospitals, private practice.
Right.
We don't come from. We're not old money, and we're not even that new. There was a time in the '90s where he bought a blue BMW convertible, but I don't think it was top of the line. It wouldn't be something that would impress people.
It was like a Z3.
I don't even know. I really don't know. And
okay.
It was that, and he didn't have it that long because he noticed he would drive faster with it. And he said, "Fuck this."
What are you talking about? You told me yesterday that they crashed 2 BMWs.
I know. He crashed it, and then he said, "It's making me drive fast."
Okay, after it wasn't, but the way you said that made it sound like he decided to do that before he crashed the vehicle.
No, I mean he didn't have that much foresight, but he had enough foresight to admit that this is not for me and stop.
You're right.
And he never bought another sexy car again.
Right.
But it's not like that. And I didn't have money. We would never travel. There was nothing like that. I didn't have a car, but never worried about a fucking thing in my life. Never got bullied. Never had to worry. Never worried about the other people. Never worried. And that's a huge relief. And that is something that's very rare.
Yeah.
It wasn't. However, my brother doesn't have this quality. My parents don't have this, so it's not exactly like it's totally a function of the money.
Yeah.
A lot of it is I simply fucking refuse to deal with the 1990s at all.
Well.
And I pushed it away every bit as much as, but I felt I can push it away, so that is a privilege. That's true. If I had been born in Boston, what happened was my dad was finishing up Mass General, right? He got a really good residency, that's the best residency you can get.
Yeah.
Mass General, and he earned it because he fucking kicked ass in college in New York. And
so my take on what you're saying is that your parents didn't really spoil you as a child, but I believe that they did contribute to you having sort of a stunted adulthood.
Exactly, but it's related to the same dynamic because in addition to the not feeling safe, my dad had an abusive mother, apparently. Although I knew her, she never was abusive to us, but she had mellowed.
Right.
Even though she was still incredibly sharp, she had gentled herself. She gave me a Teddy Ruxpin once.
What's the Teddy Ruxpin?
She gave me a Teddy Ruxpin and she gave me some excellent Nintendo games, including Super Mario Brothers 3.
I see.
Yeah, great grandma, but she was a bitch to my dad. Fire on earth when she was young.
Yeah, that's what my mom.
And she had this bizarre and sort of weird thing in the family, a bizarre, strong antagonism for Judaism.
Against Judaism?
Against it.
Even though she was Jewish?
Yeah, you know how some Jews can get with that? And she was like,
Oh, I'm sure. Tons.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. So she wasn't religious?
No. There was not a drop of it. That's why my dad had no exposure to it as a kid. No.
Right.
You know, only in the most superficial New York high holiday secular Larry David way at best.
Right.
Which is really a fucking joke. But that's another story. So anyway, so it was that, and so he said, I'm not going to be mean to my kids. He wouldn't push me. He wouldn't make me feel all that bad for not buckling down, you know? And Dan, my brother, had no problem because he just has this wonderful social ability where he can always adapt and make people comfortable and just ease into a nice career, you know?
Yeah.
And he had no difficulty. And it's a great quality. I admire it. I'm trying to grow in that regard. But it makes a great deal of compromise, doesn't it?
But I also noticed that your brother doesn't have a wife or children either.
No, none of them do. The whole generation.
And he's a younger brother or an older brother?
He's 3.5 years younger than me, so he's like 37.
Yeah, so your dad doesn't have a male heir yet. I mean, he has two. You don't have any sisters, right? You're a two boy.
Sisters.
No sisters. So same with me. I'm two brothers in a family. And, you know, my brother's 33. He has no prospects of having children or, you know, getting married anytime soon. And, so, I mean, I have more prospects of getting married and having children, but I'm 31. You know, for some people that would be late. Certainly for, you know, religious Jews, that, like, by their standards, that's very late.
Oh my God.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about my upbringing. So what I'm hearing from you is that you the kind of privilege that you had from being rich, that you are at least conscious of, is that you weren't ever worried about anything. You were you felt complete security. You didn't have to, there was never, you know, any kind of doubt or anything that you were going to be good. And then that kind of like translated a little bit into your adult life, I feel, Jay, where, you know, you had a little bit of a hands-off adult life where, you know, you've had a safety net like your whole life, which you still do. You know, is that safe to say?
Yeah.
And a pretty tough safety net, because, you know, it's arguable that, you know, I have a safety net too, though I've done a lot to like try and make it like go away. But, you know, 5 years ago, before I joined this cult, I certainly had one, and I probably still do in whatever way. You know, it might take a little bit more work on my end. But yeah, just to talk about myself and my experience. So my parents were, you know, first generation Americans, came to Austin, Texas from Israel in the 80s. And I guess they both came from, you know, I haven't really thought that much, because I always kind of believed the kind of story that my parents like came to America and like made it. But not really, because I was born when my dad was like getting his PhD, like at school. He was like finishing his PhD. That's not a particularly like, you know, that's a certain class of people who go and for those. And his dad was a doctor. That said, his dad was an Israeli doctor, so didn't make that much money, but still, you know, a doctor is a doctor, you know, wherever they are. But in Israel, doctors don't make nearly as much as they do here. But they had come from, white Jewish South Africans. So I'm sure if you traced it back to Lithuania, like there weren't that many rich Jews in Lithuania, but there were certainly started to come into some money in South Africa. But I don't actually know like how much money like my grandparents had. I know that my mom's dad had like, a kind of like whatever his own version of a rags to riches story when he was the youngest of 11 in a Jewish family. I'm pretty sure it was probably a religious Jewish family given that there was 11 children. And he ended up leaving home when he was 12 years old and going and living on a kibbutz and then like starting his diamond business when he was like in his teen years. But if you track back my, family on his side, they go back to like some of the founders of the Bukharian quarter of Jerusalem. And at that point, when Shlomo Messiah, who I believe is like one of my ancestors, was around, like there was a lot of wealth going on in Bukhara, in Uzbekistan. So there's kind of like, there was a little bit of glitter and glow back in my ancestry, I believe. I think my dad's isn't quite so much. I think a lot of them were just kind of like poor Jews, in shtetls in Europe and stuff. But I think my mom's side had a little bit of a glow up, within it's still like Central Asian money, but it's some money. So when my dad was like, when I was a little kid, we moved to San Jose, and we had a house there. It was before the property became crazy expensive, but that's still one of the highest value places to live. Like now, I don't even know what their house would be worth now. Probably, I mean, definitely in, multi-million dollars for like a very simple bungalow just because of the location of being in San Jose. So they were early to very expensive real estate. And I lived there until I was 8 years old. I only went to private schools. I went to, I guess all kindergarten is private. I don't even know. I went to, is it? So no, it's not. I don't know how. I thought kindergarten is like a business. I thought like, see, I don't even know how it works. I thought public school starts at like grade 1 and then, kindergarten and preschool is like run by people, but I guess I'm wrong. There are public kindergartens. I went to a private kindergarten, Montessori school for 2 years, and then when I was 8, not when the family was 8, we weren't all 8 at the time. I was 8. We moved to Orange County. I lived in my first gated community in Orange County. And at that point my parents started buying nice cars, and San Jose, my dad drove a Honda, like a 2-seater Honda that my grandfather, I think on my mom's side, had bought him as like a wedding present or something. And then my mom had like a Ford like family wagon sedan. But when we moved to Orange County, it's when my dad got like a bigger job and was like the head of the Ayn Rand Institute and started getting like a real, a decent salary, like pretty nice salary. That's when we had like nice cars. My dad bought a Lexus in the year 2000. And my mom had a Volvo and then later had a Lexus. And yeah, we lived in gated communities. And then for like 5 years after that, we moved to a even nicer gated community in Orange County, to a nicer house in a nicer gated community. So yeah, I definitely grew up rich and like very rich in comparison to a lot of the world. My own like my thing with it was like, we were kind of always on the sort of the poor end of being rich within Orange County, and I wanted to be one of the rich kids who like lived by the beach and lived on like the Laguna Beach, Newport Beach area. But yeah, I was also like ashamed, it was like a thing. You didn't really want to you didn't want to like admit that you wanted to be rich, and like being rich was kind of like not that cool. There wasn't very much authenticity in that. But yeah, I mean, I went to private schools. I went to a very, very small, like homeschool private school until 10th grade because I got expelled in ninth grade. And then I went to a public school, and it was a huge culture shock for me. And like, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't have much to compare it to, but in some ways it kind of made me retarded. I certainly rely on others for a lot of things like in my life, and kind of like it kind of killed, even though I had like some ambition. It was like very specific ambition. And because my dad had kind of like gone, and even if he was, his parents had money, he kind of went and created something. And I didn't do that as much with my life. And I think it came from like in the same way you said you weren't worried like as an adult after being a child, when I actually did want a lot of money, like I was interested in going off and making money. As an adult, I kind of never was worried about it. And my dad would give me like $500 a month, like as like spending money, to like, so basically subsidized, part of my housing. And like, so I had that really, really comfortable safety net. If I needed to ask my dad for money, like if something was going on, I could pretty much count on him helping me. Like that much was like clear. Like I had that kind of safety net. And I always wanted more. Like I wanted more because I would see like really rich kids, like kids who were bought like new sports cars and shit in Orange County, and like kids who were like really spoiled. And I wanted that, but I was pretty spoiled in certain ways. Like we went in ways that you weren't even spoiled, Jage, because we went on tons of family vacations. I went to Europe. We'd go to Israel. I would like see a lot of the world, and yeah, vacations were a big thing. I would go to Disneyland all the time. And my parents were like very much materialists in like, toys and stuff were encouraged, had every Disney movie on VHS. Like, my dad was always buying new TVs. He had Netflix like before anyone else had Netflix, when it was still something that you'd order, DVDs in the mail, and always like had a large screen TV. He was really big into like his home, video and audio setup being like top of the line. My first car was my dad gave me like his old Lexus. So I had like a nice car as my first car. And my brother was given a brand new car, like when he turned, 16. Like my parents bought him a new car. So, yeah, I mean, we definitely were, raised with that kind of thing. And growing up in a gated community was like a vibe. And I used to think it was really boring. And when I was a teenager, I would like purposely slum it and like hang out with, the punks who lived in Costa Mesa, who, weren't rich by Orange County standards, but certainly like had more comfortable lives than most of, the rest of the world. But I would like go slum it and hang out with the punks and stuff, and like the people who are like into metal, who had like, they were lower class because their parents were like beach bums, who were probably rich kids who decided to like drop out and like do drugs. So like I remember like hanging out with a bunch of people in high school where their parents were like the drug addicts. They were actually like sometimes the more responsible people in the family. So I don't know. That's kind of my like rich, how I grew up, having like a rich parents and a rich upbringing. And what effect does it have? I don't know. I think it's made, it's made me a little bit lazy. It's made me like not really go for things as much as I wish I had the kind of like desire to do. It's made me less of a person who plans for the future because, I did have that kind of safety net, and it didn't put me in a place where like I was always making plans on how I was going to get to the next thing or do the next thing. I wish I had more of that skill ingrained in me, but I didn't. And yeah. And my parents were also different in the fact that, a lot of foreigners like come to this country to like give their children to like slave away at whatever jobs they need to do to make sure that their children have the most opportunity possible. Israeli Americans, I don't think, do the same thing. They're kind of like, we're coming to America to like have fun. We're trying to reap the benefits, and then our children will, sure, but it's not so much as like Asian families who like, their children.
There's something else too, where immigrants from Israel are never religious.
Very rarely. Very rarely.
There'd be almost no reason for a religious dude to leave Israel.
Well, a lot of people become more religious when they leave Israel. Because when they're in Israel, and they're not especially religious, they're like, yeah, like being Jewish is kind of part of, it's everywhere, so you don't really make it a big deal. But then when they leave Israel and then they feel like wanting to have, their culture back again, people tend to become more religious after having left. Does that make sense?
And the compliment is also true. It's also why when they go to Israel, they become less religious. They don't feel they have to generate it as much.
Yeah, and and they're looking for community, so it's like an option.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you think? What do you think about our conversation? Do you think do we have any blind spots or anything that we should be talking about? Do you have any comments for Jay?
No, wait. Hey, Jay. I just joined in from the other side of the room, and I think Jesus was talking to me. Were you?
I was.
Yeah. Any blind spots that you guys haven't covered that I was thinking?
Yeah, what about start with Jay? Anything that you want him to talk about?
Well, I would say more of a comment that maybe I would ask Jay if he has ever thought about this or is aware of this. The Massachusetts and New England style of wealth is very much what Jay was describing, in my opinion, at least the dominant culture. In like old money New England, in terms of like old money being like you have multiple generations that had wealth, like everyone's super inconspicuous about it. Like you don't have flashy cars and houses. You have almost like to the point of like you wear out your clothing even because it's like good clothes and you're not going to be a crazy like big spender. I don't know. It's like it's this kind of culture that it's very old money culture in a specific type of way that I'm not from like old money New England in that way, but
But you both are from like second generation old, like your dad's family had money.
My dad's family had money, and my dad's
and Jay's dad's family made money, in America.
Yeah.
So your grandfather had some money.
They would be considered a success. I guess you consider them a success story of post-war America.
That was your grandfather.
That was my grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's my grandfather.
He would never have been considered rich, but they were up middle class, upstate New York, and they would go to camp in the summer.
Yeah, and like
the fact that they summered anywhere is like an
part of being rich is also like not saying you're rich too, and like minimizing it in terms of the type of rich I think Jay comes from, and that my family, like the upper classness.
Well, I mean, however, there's a slight nuance because my family is not from Massachusetts at all. And my dad only moved to Massachusetts when I was still a baby. Yeah, well,
same here. Like it also is an area that attracts a certain type. Like it's very even if you're not like many generations of New Englander, like I'm saying one.
Oh, you know what it is? It represents New York represents the class of culture, but Boston represents the class of hospitals and colleges.
Yeah, it's a very
the
intellectual
kind
place.
of ambitious,
And witches, perhaps?
singular
And
attitude.
You
witches.
gonna talk about magic at all?
What's that?
Well, also Boston is a place where there's more witches than anywhere. New England is like the witchiest place in the United States.
Well, really, the word is it's really the spiritual heart of the United States.
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say, because is like being a witch really like spiritual?
I would say
It's
like
a perversion of it.
I would say like
so you loved it. So I read in the school library about the Puritans, who had that's what it was. It was the Puritans and the witches.
yeah, very puritanical. And I think that puritanicalness attracts people who want to be a little puritanical, even if they're not long from there. It's like the vibe of the area. And like the way people are wealthy is in a puritanical way.
I didn't have Puritan parents at all. That's why we lived in Orange County. I had like my parents were not at all Puritan.
Either. And my family would not have been up in the Puritan congregation at all.
I'm not even saying
Puritan
like
in vibe, bro.
Like I'm not saying they're part of puritanical denomination or anything.
There's a puritanical vibe in my family, especially with my mother. It comes from my grandfather.
Well, your mother's not Jewish. Your dad had a little bit of the Jewish vibiness, right? You know, he had a little bit of social capital with that.
As little as even less than you in a sense, because your dad was just eager to trump it, but my dad's mother was eager to fight it.
Oh yeah, and my dad's pretty eager to fight it as well. He's very anti-religion.
There's apparently another part of her family, a sister-in-law or a cousin of hers, who's even more extreme. I think I mentioned to you, and she was known for having emigrated to Israel only to be seen conspicuously knitting on Sabbath. Pissed everyone off.
Just knitting on Sabbath.
Just to show people, look at me on the Sabbath.
But I mean, even my mom, when we were like living in Orange County, like living in our second gated community, she would still like say that we were upper middle class when we certainly like were not. You know, it was, but you know, and no one wants to admit it really, because there is a good deal of shame that comes with you know, class. That's like the last conversation people want to have. Like, class is actually the thing that no one wants to talk about.
Yeah, because like I was talking to Jesus about this earlier on our live today, or maybe it was yesterday, I don't remember. Like, my family wouldn't be considered, like, the part that makes them like upper class, like my actual mom and dad, like the generation just above me, was their class markers, like not how much money was in their bank account or the amount they made per year on their income, but it was like the culture they were raised in and that they were in, and the choices they made that connoted that they came from a certain class.
And very Protestant. I mean, well, your mom's on the Catholic side. That's why your mom wasn't quite as, you know, your dad certainly had more of that vibe than your mother.
Yeah, for sure. So like some people will say, I'm not rich because I don't make this much money, but you have a culture of your family or like your markers of like how you live and what you think, how you think, feeling safe, like you were mentioning.
Yeah, and
like,
my parents had kind of like a different thing in just like, because being a first generation American or just being like an immigrant is its own thing as part of that. Like, it's not quite the same as being like a rich like American, but you know, it's like a different, it's definitely more new money, and they probably were less ashamed of their money because of that. And also because my dad's like the head of a capitalist, like, you know, advocacy group.
But like the longer you have money, the more you learn to be close to the hip with it and really scarce with it, or like hold on to it more. Thrifty even.
Oh yeah. I can think of certain people who still go to thrift stores.
Thrifty also in the way of like, I'm going to buy one nice thing and wear it to the ground and be like very...
It's not always even a nice thing.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, Bill Gates looks like shit. Do you see
yeah.
him? He looks like shit. He dresses like shit. He doesn't even do like the health goth or whatever, like the wearing like just it looks like he bought his outfit at fucking Ross. Like Bill Gates looks
But
like
yes,
shit.
remember, part of it, Elon, whether he's conscious of it or not, is the same that the social influence that Sam Bankman-Fried is so good at, where because it's all based on trust, Trump works in the city and for a kind of people that respect bravura, so they trust him even though he's a liar. But with Bankman-Fried, even though he's a liar, they trust him because he dresses like shit.
Yeah.
So you can trust the guy.
And he's got the name Bankman-Fried. He's got all of the signifiers.
Even though you could really trust him if he would be observant, but that's another story. That's what's so.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be trustable by all of Silicon Valley in the same way.
No, right.
There's a certain level of money that you get to from getting rid of orthodoxy.
Madoff, you trusted Madoff because literally he had the credibility, and that was really effective in those days. People just bought it. But with Bankman-Fried, they bought it even more. You know who they buy it with? Elon Musk. Because he says, I'm fucking nuts and autistic like you. You can trust me.
Yeah, that's a big show he puts on. He's very.
Yeah,
he's very.
What he does. He knows that all the money is in all these insane people on the internet and their cryptocurrency. They'll invest in Teslas. You can sell them on all sorts of insane shit.
And putting chips in their brain, which is what's coming next.
He's got people convinced they're in a simulation. People think they're in a computer game because of him.
Beep boop up.
That is a ridiculous thing. I think that's hilarious.
And you know why? I really figured out what it is. And I remember because I was in the 90s, right? And I had a Nintendo. And the graphics sucked. But that was the point. It was because it was supposed to be a catalyst for your imagination, nothing more. It wasn't supposed to be instead of your imagination, because it could never compete with that, and we knew that. But now they kind of don't know that as much, because the graphics are, well, they're this much better, eventually it's going to be indistinguishable. And they're like, oh yeah, I buy that.
Yeah, the thing is that it's interesting that literally no one wants the metaverse, but it's coming.
They're sure pushing it. They're pushers, drug pushers.
It's not actually something that people want. Chips in the brain is not actually something that people want.
A funny story. So it was maybe 1994, and I was living on the vineyard. And
by the way, just to bring it back to our rich story, when did you move to the vineyard? What year?
Okay,
what age?
So what happened was, so we were living in Newton because we lived in Jamaica Plain, which is a part of Boston.
Oh yeah.
In a duplex, and I would never leave the house basically, except I wasn't Mr. Rogers.
Were you allowed to go outside and play outside?
No.
You weren't allowed to.
There was Jamaica Ponds. I would never be away from my mother. I'd go out with her.
Oh, that explains a lot, Jage. Because even me and Emily more than me, but yeah, I could go and just do whatever.
I was 4 years old.
I could go out alone at 4.
Oh, really? Well, I think that started more when I was 5 or 6.
Yeah, my mom was always so anyway. So what happened was so my dad finally got his MD so he could practice, and so then we moved to Newton. And that's where I was in the elementary school. And then after 5th grade, right, because we would go, he had a friend named Mike Buxton, who's also a psychiatrist. You met him at residency,
Mm-hmm.
And he's also the one that got him into the Red Sox. They got the season tickets together to have something to do while they were in Boston, So then, and then they would go in the summer at Martha's Vineyard, and we loved it. And my dad thought we would have to live there, but my dad was the one who really couldn't take living there, even though he loves it now. Because in the 90s, it was just so quiet on Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
And he couldn't make it. He's used to stimulation. You wouldn't, what you would like to do is go out and do stuff in the city.
Yeah.
So that he's a city boy, man. He's from New York City, and he was always in New York City. and then he was, and he liked that. He liked playing poker.
So what age did you move to the vineyard?
All right, so it was like 12, yeah, and it was right at the cusp of puberty, and that doubtless had something to do with why, so I got to the vineyard, they wouldn't want to be my friends, and then we were only there for like 3 years, and then he couldn't take the vineyard, so we moved to Long Island, New York, because my dad had gotten a job at the medical school teaching at Stony Brook University.
So what year were you allowed to play outside by yourself? How old were you?
Oh, that was in Newton, and that was heaven on earth. That was, after I was 5, I would play out by myself all the time.
Okay. I was just wondering. We've had people in this army whose parents like literally wouldn't let them play outside, and it was an interesting.
It was only because, we're talking 3.5 years old in the 80s in Jamaica. Jamaica Plain was a rough neighborhood then. It wasn't
That's different than we were thinking when you said that. Like,
yeah,
we
I thought that
was
older.
Jamaica Plain is like Brooklyn now, but in the 80s it was like Brooklyn in the 80s.
Oh yeah, I remember. I have family that lives there now, but I remember what they would say about it early.
Yeah, so we had, and my first play date was in that house. It was a duplex, and you'll love this.
And it was a black girl.
Dark, pitch black Haitian family, and her name was
Says
Dia.
with joy.
Yeah. Her name was
Dia
what?
Was Dia was this Haitian girl.
Dia.
Was my first playmate.
Hey.
In Boston, and then she moved out, and then this other guy Bart moved in, and he was a antisocial guy. He smoked a lot of marijuana, and that made an impression because I remember he got in trouble because he was growing it.
Oh wow!
In the yard in Jamaica Plain, they busted him for it. So I never smoked marijuana. I didn't want that kind of trouble.
Right.
So yeah, so we were there from 6th to 9th grade in Martha's Vineyard, and then we went to Stony Brook. And very soon, I did terrible that first year in Stony Brook, towards Jeff High School. And then the last ditch attempt was I did really good on the SSAT, and I had a good interview, so they were going to send me to Northfield Mount Herman. That was like my last gasp trying to really make it in high school. Could only be there for like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was doing magic pretty much full time by then. There was no time for fucking schoolwork.
What did your mom do? I know your dad was a doctor, but
she was gonna be, before she got pregnant, she was gonna be like she studied landscaping and engineering, but she was a homemaker.
Gotcha.
When me and my brother left the house, she decided to go back, and she got a certificate to teach. She taught for a few years later.
That's another thing about New England. It's full of teachers.
Yes.
Professors.
And strong, independent women. Like, my mom was always doing projects. Like,
I
told you what she did in the vineyard, right?
Yeah, my mom kept her last name, and she was the breadwinner, basically.
Yeah.
Did your mom keep her last name?
Or your mom took the helper name?
Oh, she took the helper name. Yeah.
Oh, good for her.
She's very traditional,
Yeah.
Her version of being strong would never be to make.
And she didn't convert to Judaism.
She did convert to Judaism, but only in reform.
Oh, but your mom converted.
She did. It was right before my bar mitzvah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
But it depends. I mean, the Reform Jews say you're Jewish, but the Chabad says, Because you love this. I got the last name of my grandmother, maternal grandmother, great grandmother, which is Catherine Worthington.
I thought it was Stoner.
Stoner is the man. So.
And it all passes through the women anyway. So Worthington.
So Catherine Worthington. Right?
Not very Jewish. Sorry, brother. Sorry, buddy.
No, I'm not according to Chabad. I'm not Jewish.
Sorry, buddy.
It's okay, but I'm on your team. I'm your friends. I'm a Noahide. That's all I am.
Well, the 7 laws of Noah are not that hard.
They're really easy.
I mean, they are actually a little hard. You gotta, to actually do them in spirit.
The hard one is the sex one.
What are the Noahide laws? Do you know the Noahide laws?
I do not.
Actually, Peter, that's still one.
What are the 7
Big one is,
Noahide
of
laws?
course, one God. But one of them, interestingly, is you got to be nice to animals. Isn't that nice?
I like animals. I'm nice to animals.
We like animals here at Daylife Army. That's why we don't like them in the house.
You don't have to have them as a pet, but you can be nice to them.
Yeah, exactly. And we would argue here at Daylife Army that being nice to animals is not having them as pets.
I get it. Yeah. So that's one right there. If you check that one off, you only got 6 to go. That's why Kaban says don't convert. You don't need to convert.
Right.
Good. You got 7 easy to fill laws, and God loves you same as Jews, pretty much. Jews might be on a higher level, but it's all right.
I love that about them. They're like, we're on a higher level, but everyone's cool. But we're the best, just so you know.
At least they don't try to convert you.
Okay, so do the 7 Noahide laws are: do not profane God's oneness in any way.
One God, yeah.
Do not curse your creator. Ooh, that one's tough.
Tough for me.
Tough. Do not murder.
Pretty easy.
Pretty easy, but for some people have trouble with that one. Some very religious people have trouble with that one. Do not eat a limb of a still living animal.
Yeah, well, you're not. That's how they worked it out. Although really what it means is be nice to animals, but especially don't eat
them alive. Don't eat.
Don't do that.
Yeah. I had a friend who did the whole thing of eating a live octopus in a restaurant and stuff. I was like, why are you doing that? Just why? Could you just have lived your life without doing that and just
Yeah, no. That's no. If you do that, if you want to be under the water, if you want to be over the water with Noah, don't do that.
Do not steal.
Don't steal.
That can be tough sometimes.
I didn't
Harness. What?
Nothing. I didn't put a thing for your eyes.
Harness and channel the human libido. Basically, stay away from incest, adultery, rape, homosexual relations, and family unit. So, yeah.
It's saying stay away from the family unit.
No, do not. You should. It's
Opposite.
kind of the vibe of the family.
Don't masturbate.
I don't know if that's expressively said. I don't know if Noahides.
I think it's their context is don't be deviating in your sexuality.
Also, masturbation, I believe, is only viewed as a bad thing if it's a man doing it. I don't think there's any specific prohibitions against women doing it. Establish courts of law and ensure justice in our world. So have a government. So those are the.
In theory, it'll be the government of Moshiach, but yes.
Well, any last thoughts from y'all about what it means to grow up rich? And
well, it's pretty interesting. I think it's quite poignant. It's something I've talked with a lot of kids about, frankly, recently. And it's a great, I can see how what happened with me was on the vineyard. On the vineyard, even though there is this association with wealth there, especially then the people who live there are not wealthy. They're wealthy homeowners who are there one weekend a year.
The townies, you're saying.
So there were townies, and they didn't because Newton is not the town. Newton is if you're going to go to Harvard, you're going to go to nice public schools. Public school was great. It was still public school, but it was a great public school. On the vineyard, it wasn't like that. So I just I wasn't welcome because I brought with that energy. But part of the reason they were like that is because they had some clear fears of their dads, of bullying, of not having enough money, of going hungry, of divorces.
Well, it's interesting. You're talking about something I'm a little familiar with too. The kind of New England vibe that I don't think happens as much other places. At least I haven't experienced it, where we live in a place that's a super, super wealth tourist vacation destination. I grew up in Kennebunk, Maine, which is right next to Kennebunk Port, where the Bushes have an estate. The townies in Kennebunk were getting pregnant in their teens, doing what you would assume someone who's living kind of poor, lower class lives, but working at restaurants and right next to these people that only came there for the summer or the winter season,
Yeah.
It was interesting.
So in the vineyard, I never knew weren't part of any country club, so I didn't know any of the wealthy people, or at least not the culture was one that was strongly influenced by Nirvana. I have to be honest, or the whole kind of culture that would like
That
Nirvana.
sound you
Was
made.
steeped in
Why don't you just speak your feelings instead of making the sound?
Oh, I was just thinking about, like, I don't know what. Honestly, I don't know why I made that sound.
You make that sound when like something you're like bored of someone's point, and you're like, I don't care about this point that you're making, whether it be about Nirvana or whatever.
I guess so.
So why don't you care about his point about Nirvana?
Um,
I'm interested. This is the real meat and potatoes.
let's see. Why didn't I?
Well, the only reason you might unconsciously is because it's something of a counterpoint to yours about the old New England money being a big part of the culture I was in.
Yeah, never make a counterpoint to Mary.
Well,
Your point is a valid one, but it's amazing how regional it was. That's I think my big takeaway. There's a huge difference even in Newton Center than other parts of Newton or Cambridge. I knew nothing about Cambridge. Nothing. We were never there at all. To me, Boston was literally Fenway Park. That's Boston.
Yeah.
Once in a blue moon, we're going to go to the Children's Museum. But I live in Newton. And Newton is it's not rich. It's not that rich, but it's safe. And none of my neighbors had lots of money either. They did, but it was.
Did you ever go to Sharon?
We went to Camp Sharon once in 6th grade.
You ever go to Sharon?
I've never been to Sharon, no.
Sharon is like sort of in the western. It's more.
There are a lot of Jews in Sharon, right?
Yeah, there's some in Western Massachusetts. There are some Jews. There's Longmeadow,
But Sharon's like near Boston. It's like 45 minutes from Boston, right? Massachusetts isn't that big.
Yeah, it's not that big.
Yeah,
You only get real far when you're like in actual Western Mass, kind of like the closest.
that's where I am. I'm in western. Actually, my town was at one point the westernmost part of Massachusetts.
And what, you're like right next to Pennsylvania?
No, Connecticut.
York, or-
I'm right next to Connecticut. Yeah, my town's called Westfield.
The Westfield.
Western.
You know what it used to be called? Actually, we should really bring it back. They called it Streamfield.
I remember you were telling me that at one point.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Because there was Springfield,
Yeah.
which is where they invented basketball, and that's a big town, but that's far enough away. And then that's the spring, but then there's all these little streams in this town.
I do love a nice little stream. Jesus knows.
Yeah, I do
You're
love
very particular about the width of water.
If I like a river, it's because it's the perfect width for me.
I think you'd like the river. It goes right behind my house. There's a mill across the street.
Well, your house in wherever you are now in Westfield.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a thing I didn't ask you about, Jage, that I meant to, that never got brought up. Like,
Yes.
in terms of like growing up wealthy or coming from generational wealth, even if it's just like 1 or 2 generations, like you have a house that you got from your parents. So.
Oh, this is interesting. It's not from my parents. Well, it is, but and this is the other side of it because it wasn't something I was connected to at all growing up. But my grandmother, who was adopted, right? This is what's so interesting about it. One of the things, she never wanted to find out who her birth parents were because the guy that adopted her, this guy Ralph Zook, he adopted her, and he was really rich. Well, he's not my blood relation, but he was the oil man from Pennsylvania, and he couldn't conceive of kids, and he went to New York to adopt both my grandmother and her non-blood adopted sister.
Yeah.
And then he was great, and he said, "Yes, we adopted you, but it's because we love you." And he was really rich.
Yeah.
And that's true, and that's the interesting thing about that.
And that's where your house came from?
Yeah, and it's a late onset because it only really came up in my life practically after my grandmother died a few years ago.
Yeah.
Because then I did inherit some money from her. And then we used that to get the house.
Yeah, but I would call that, even I get what you're saying about like the removal through adoption or whatever, but I would still call that generational wealth. It's just.
And you'd be right. It's just that it wasn't a factor in how I grew up.
Yeah. I get what
I
you.
wouldn't get any money from her then, and also her husband, he wasn't rich, but he was very aristocratic.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather.
What does that mean?
Farm.
Not rich, but was aristocratic.
Yeah, he was. He grew up on a farm, but he was just a genius. They put him in the University of Chicago when he was 15. He was in the military for his whole career in the Navy, and he was the one who utterly blacklisted me from being around him at all because he was so embarrassed of me.
Mm-hmm.
I was really embarrassing to him, and of course, it makes perfect sense that I would have been. So we spent Christmas with him, and he gave me like pocket knives and stuff. But
when did he blacklist you?
It was in high school. I was already getting kind of obese, and I was just being weird. Too weird.
Well, it kind of does make sense that someone like with that background would be more like.
Solution.
I didn't see. Oh, that's because of this thing. I have to unplug it. Sorry, Jage. We're just having technical difficulties over here.
No worries. Yeah, so that's true, and it's a fascinating dynamic. I actually got a textbook that he wrote. He wrote a textbook about basically how to extract, not fracking, but before fracking, because he was on all that natural oil fields in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, cool.
You could definitely see how it affected my grandmother.
Yeah.
She was. I got along so well with her because she would be so open to every cult.
Mm-hmm.
Every cult. She got into everyone.
She passed that on to you.
And she was definitely. She got into every kind of magic, Kabbalah, New Age. And she never had to.
She was a witch.
A witch.
Yeah. She would call herself a good witch. She said to me, she was Knights Templar.
Oh yeah,
that's
a witch.
She said she was and I don't doubt it, but she said that she had been in conscious incarnation steadily since the dawn of human history, never taking any time off, but always there to help evolution move forward collectively.
Yeah.
Is that how you feel? Is that how you feel, Jage? Is that you?
Yeah, it's me. Of course it's me. And it's you. You know? It's a whole deal. But it's me. And I do a good job, but I have to be... There is a way to use this safety, and I've been discovering it recently. I can be the guy who does initiate positive social connection, but I will have to initiate. And that was never my normal thing. I always figured the girls would come to me.
That's still a possibility in your future. Jesus is falling out of his chair over here.
But bro, you just it's your archetypal thing that you think that you have to initiate forever. You just don't know what's on the other side, bro. You don't know that there's actually a life that you could live where girls would be initiating with you. Women would be a bit.
I don't doubt it, but I think even still, as part of my development, it's important that I do it now somewhat, because I would never do it at all.
Bro, I'm not saying don't initiate in any point in any area of your life. You have to kind of you're in an army that
I've been getting I think the best connection now with my friend Julia.
Interesting, bro. It's so interesting that your connections are improving the more that you wash. I wonder. Woo.
Oh, yeah, well, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. It's,
most people would admit that.
I told you I was in the library. And then I was alone there.
Yeah, tell us about. I want to hear the story of meeting your bae.
My safety, my best space in the college is in the old library stacks, which no one ever is in.
Oh, I'm sure they're not dusty or moldy or at all.
And it's beautiful. It's actually kept the coolest of any building in campus. It has all these great old books which haven't been touched. And I can talk. I can even smoke. I can vape my marijuana. Nobody notices.
Yeah, we don't condone that kind of behavior. Vaping marijuana, especially in places where it's banned, and there's a special rule saying you should not do it.
All right, so I'll keep that in mind. So anyway, one day I was just doing my normal circuit. I walk around, I read all the books, and I bump into this girl. And she's sitting there and never seen anybody. Like, it was a great excuse to initiate a pleasant conversation because, you know.
And how did the convo start, and where did it go, and how did it go?
Basically like that. You know, I was talking about this, and I was talking about, you know, these books have probably never been read in decades. She said, I know. I once checked out a book, and it hadn't been taken out since 1929. And to which point I said, I'm making it, Mrs. Shue. I'm just going to read a paragraph of every single one of them. And then I started to talk about how I'm saying hi to everybody, and isn't it nice? And she was really delighted by that. She was noticing how antisocial people are. And then I was talking about how I get along so much better with people her age than I used to do with people my own age. And she was talking about the things she was reading. And then I even talked about magic. To be honest, she thought that was great. She mentioned she was a big Boston Bruins fan. Who isn't? And so, yeah, it was great talk, and it culminated in her giving me her number. She's like 20 years old. And you like this, you know, she's definitely something, but she has incredibly light skin, though. But I don't think she's Caucasian.
You don't think she's Caucasian?
No, even though she is very light skinned. But there was your archetypal theory may be born out of close. You there?
Hey.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
So that's what happened there, and it called, you know. And also, I've been having lots of good discussions, but with everybody, not just African American, but definitely them too. And also, I got this friend Julia.
So wait, you did get her number?
I did get her number. I texted her, so far no response, but I guess that's fine. But it was a totally pleasant interaction and ended well, you know. It's not something I would normally have done. But I seized upon the opportunity to do it. So it was initiation that worked.
Right.
And so I had this friend Julia, and she's really big and strong. She has Down syndrome. She hugged me for like a minute straight. And it was pretty clear that a lot of feelings were coming up for her, including that I think she wanted me to give her a kiss. And she often says that to me. Sometimes she talks about her. I use the word best friend, and she often says, you're my best friend, right? You know? But then on occasion, I do notice that she becomes more amorous.
Jesus, you have a lot going on right now. Do you want to address Jage instead of just kind of tuning out to him talking to you?
What?
You're not paying attention to Jage talking right now. Do you want to explain why and maybe address it?
What is going on with... Jage was just talking about his...
Jesus is just like looking at having a lot going on over here.
What are you saying, Jage?
I was just describing the interaction with the girl at the library.
Right. I'm just wondering, are you going to call her?
Well, I texted her. I was just going to do that first.
Well, you did text her? And did she respond?
Her. Not yet, but it was just yesterday.
Okay. Hey, you know, I don't know what 20-year-olds are doing these days in terms of, like, you know, are they all on TikTok?
Looks like it. It looks like everyone's on TikTok is what I noticed. And that's what Julia says I should do. Julia says I gotta make TikToks. Because most of the people that make them do a shitty job.
Yeah.
I think our general's on TikTok, to be honest. I'm not on there.
Hey, Ben, there are videos on my channel, on this channel, that I'm addressing all of that.
You should check them out.
Yeah, they're called the Lying to Jews video. I believe.
Who are you talking?
What's that?
Did you say Ben?
Jesus is talking to someone who's leaving comments on one of the.
I forgot you're on Instagram.
Yeah, we're streaming live.
That's fine. Yeah, Ben, I understand you downloaded that. It's yeah. If you know, there should be more videos in that series coming out. So yeah, that will be available. All right. Okay, thank you, Ben, for letting me know the status of this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that to people. What does that even mean?
I don't know what I meant to do, but anyway. Where are we in our schedule?
Honestly, we're just after this call, it's not much, but I just feel like there's plenty of fodder to be talking about right now that is triggering fodder, but I don't know, maybe
What?
I don't know.
What?
Nothing.
Do you want to develop the theme, or do you want to move on to something else?
No, honestly, I'm more talking about like someone who's on our live stream is talking to Jesus. And when I was saying like, do you want to start listening to Jage more? It was because when this person started talking to Jesus, he was clearly like triggered or being distracted. And like I was saying, maybe address what was happening instead of just like being in a.
Are you saying triggered by what I was saying?
Oh, no, not by what you were saying, but by what this person was saying in the comments. So I was like, if that's what's like taking up your attention, maybe just like explain to Jage what's happening, so you're not just like not paying full attention to Jage and like having this go on.
Right.
That's what I was saying. And it seems like a really ripe subject to be talking about on live, and a great opportunity for you to maybe lose some face about what's happening.
I have a video series that I'm doing on the thing.
Well, I think maybe talking about your like authority kink of like the way you unconsciously.
Well, yeah, no, there is this whole thing where I've been calling Jewish people and asking them for money, and a specific I made a video where I talked about it, and it was shared in a group that I was getting numbers and calling people from, and now someone in the chat was just like saying we have the video, it's been downloaded, and we're submitting it to authorities, and just kind of my whole kink about summoning authorities to like get involved in my business is very real. And I didn't actually mean to like delete all these messages. I just, when someone comes and says like we're involving the authorities, I was just going to be like kicking them out of the chat. I wasn't actually trying to delete any of the messages, which I guess I did, but whatever.
But I just thought it was a good opportunity to talk about that, because I feel like every year there's a new kind of thing that you manifest about someone's like, I'm gonna take you in, you're gonna go to jail. Like
you're going to the FBI. No, that always happens also around this year, like this time of year. Where people want to get involved.
And regardless, it's divorced from reality for like, but the threats happen in a way that are like, that's the symbolism.
Yeah, it's like cancellations and threats, and Mossad people in my DMs, and like that's just the kind of vibe that usually comes around this time. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it was like someone thinking that there was a human trafficking thing going on and sending literal SWAT team to like go check out what was happening, where they like left immediately and were like, this is a false alarm. But yeah, there's just certain things that come that I must be, want to get something out of, that I keep attracting in my life. So,
and there's a level, I think there's like a level of what we're doing and the way it is not combativeness. It's in direct, like it is against or doing a thing that's like very, we are on every watch list, like we are watched, but we know that, and we don't, like, on our good days care
and I
about
have,
that.
I have told lies, and I am working on addressing that, for what I'm doing. And
but I'm also saying there's like a thing about spooking from spooks that whether if they're paid spooks or just programmed to be spooks because like they're seeing a thing that's like against pain matrix programming, and what we're doing is in opposition to that, so it's going to like be rejected by it. There's a level of spook that's just like letting you know that you're being watched without any like,
and no tangible action ever happens.
Action, or they'll try to, and I'm talking more, I'm not involved as much in the Jewish thing that's Jesus is talking about right now, but like just in the history of DLA, like, and cults in general, like there's entrapment attempts where like you'll just try and make people crazy or make them do something illegal, but like this army doesn't do anything illegal. There's nothing that is, all the claims to try and cancel us have no basis in reality. So like the authorities and the spooks and the ops who watch us know this. Like anyone who's not like, I don't know, Boom Boom Feral or like other people on the internet who just don't know about laws, and sometimes you who don't know about laws, like there's nothing to actually do when someone's not breaking any and like not doing anything illegal. But there's a bit of a vibe of like trying to just make people feel scared or crazy by like letting them know that you're watching them or whatever. And then there's another level that I feel like I don't even think happens so much anymore, of like trying to, but it's happened with cults all the time where they've fallen victim to it, like trying to entrap you by enticing you with things that are illegal.
Right.
Like we should like an op going into a cult to infiltrate that's like pretending to be a new member or rising the ranks that's been the whole time trying to entrap them, being like, we should really have munitions in this cult. It would be a good idea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like, and I think that like when your racket is very specific to calling in authority and like being evil or whatever, like being afraid of that. And so you particularly are like in an environment like a cult, like being in a conscious cult, that's like another level. It's already ripe for that to maybe happen, but like your energy makes it brings it to you all the time.
Right.
Like no one else is really having that happen. I guess the closest would be with me, maybe like, I don't know, journalists come around or something. It's not the same vibe. It's really not. And like, I understand why.
Well, Waco had it before.
Like
with the CIA.
It's not with the territory. Like it really gives you a glimpse into what the.
Well, it's also because my whole family is military intelligence. Like literally, both of my parents are military intelligence, and they're Israeli, and that brings on its own like vibe within the military intelligence coming, because they're like, he's one of us.
Yeah. And like I
said,
right.
Well, do you have any more to talk about on this topic?
We've covered the grown up rich thing with Jage, and I just wanted to address the palpable vibe shift so Jage knew what was going on and we didn't just like.
Does Jage actually know what's going on now? Jage, are you following along with just the tone of what we're talking about?
Yeah, I think I sort of get it.
Okay.
More just like that something was like going on that was distracting us. That's all.
Well, what I think it is, it's that it's not. It's different aspects of it, but it's sort of like you see so much in science and psychology is that it's often a Jewish thing or a lack of meaning within Judaism thing. And to me, that's been by far the more deeply felt influence, is why I tended to be so fixated on it, because that's where a lot of my emotional hangups seem to arise from.
Mm-hmm.
And in Newton, there's glimpses of there's no religious Jews. That's more Brookline, I think. I was always aware of it. You know, I always had some interesting fascination with it, and it's interesting to see how certain kinds of madness can exist in Jews, especially if they don't believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a very specific kind of Bobby Fischer madness that develops, or Oppenheimer, you know, people like that.
Right.
If I ever was to talk to that guy Lex Friedman, it's the obvious point that he just never talks about.
Right.
I mean, are we
Yeah.
gonna? And that's obviously sort of
What's
even
topic
still somewhat
3?
of the friction that can exist between a cult and Judaism, you know, or even like I've been learning so much about recently between Jews and Islam. Because even though, from my vantage point, it's easy for me to say, because I'm not as in it, it seems, it would just be a very easy thing to make peace, you know, and just kind of a natural extension of just kind of the divine plan.
Well, that's a good entry point for something that maybe Jesus has more to say on, but like Jesus was mentioning his family being like Israeli intelligence background, like both his parents were in the army in Israel.
Yeah.
And the stuff that's going on now that has, I mean, from an outsider, I'm obviously not, maybe not obviously, I'm not Jewish, and but I've been watching like what's going on right now, and I think there's a lot of like people's emotions are crazy out of whack and all over the place, even if they aren't Jewish. The thing that's happening is like very much putting everyone in a tizzy, and it's completely related to Israel and Mossad, which you were just talking about.
Because
Because there's always been it
Well,
seems as though God made the Jews in such a way where they have such great potential to be full of all sorts of different energies. And some of them are just so fiery, and they react with this hellfire, you know? That's what Jews also have there. But then it's in theory not what they're supposed to eventually be like, but more like, say, David, which is perfectly in tune. But when that's not the case, we just see the inevitable escalations.
Well, I need to watch a video for this topic. I'd rather not do this one right now.
okay. I mean, you don't have to go too deep into it, but like, just saying that, I don't know.
saying what?
Never mind. I just thought that what you were talking about is related to that topic. You know?
I don't know.
Okay.
Isn't that going into YouTube banned territory? And wasn't the idea that that's not going on YouTube? What's over there?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything else to cover in terms of the topic you and Jage were going to get into or ask. So maybe that's it. I think that's everything.
All right, Jage.
All right, let's call it there.
Yeah, I think we're gonna call it, and we'll still be live for a few more hours. So actually not that even much longer. I think we have like an hour and 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for jumping on.
I'll see you, Jage.
All right, bye. All right. What's up?
All I'm saying is still related. The like last thoughts on this.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is me projecting or reading things wrong.
Yeah.
I just see an overwhelming change in you and your personality or your vibe that like has a lot of shame in it.
Uh-huh.
And I look at you feeling that and I'm like, why are you not saying anything or exercising the shame by talking truth? That's what I'm saying. Do you
What should I
understand
be
what I'm
talking
saying?
about?
I don't think there might not be much to get into after that. I'm just saying, like, I had to initiate you saying something. You were just being rude to Jage by like completely not being present
Uh-huh.
and being like really preoccupied with the thing that was triggering you, but not saying out loud what was happening. That's
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah.
Natty says, "Are you in a relationship with her?"
It's not clear at this point.
We're dating. We are dating. But
don't
the
know.
future is unclear. What's up?
Huh?
Look at your.
I am kind of ashamed. I just, I don't know.
Okay. My thoughts on circumcision? I don't know if I really want to tell a stranger who I have no clue who they are or why they're asking what my thoughts on that are. But
yeah, kind of a weird, rude question.
That's
to
like a
ask
very
woman on the
crazy
chat.
first introduction. I don't know who
just
you
like,
are, and
wanna
that's your
just
first question
talk
to me.
about penises.
Penises and my relationship status. Like, nice to meet you, Natty.
Yeah. Weird. All right. What's the what is topic number 3?
Topic number 3, looking back at my schedule, is more about our army careers. Maddie says, I just read the chat. Mary, thoughts on scamming. Is what Ben says true? Do you scam? That's like a question I'd be happier to answer than my thoughts on circumcision. Sure. This organization, this cult, Day Life Army, has been called a scam since it began. What we, in our most integrity moment, what we are supposed to be doing here as soldiers, like our orders, is that we facilitate people washing their belief. And I'm not going to get into that with you, Natty. If you want to look into Day Life Army and watch old content or lives or like ask whatever, find out more information. My Instagram is Daylife Mary. We're on YouTube, Day Life Army. You can read all of the negative press online. There's plenty of places to start if you want to look into it more. But like when we are in our integrity and following our orders in this army, what we're doing is not a scam. What we're doing is something we deeply believe in and we are completely sincere about. And when we're operating on 100 and doing that, the closest you could get is saying that people think it's a scam who engage in it, but they're engaging in it completely transparently. Like they know we're a cult. They know that they're trying this thing called washing belief. They don't know what it'll do, but it's it's a real thing. Now, why basically everyone but the founders of this cult, the generals, Koa and Wiz, all of the soldiers that have come in, young people who have been trained to try and do this, have all tried to like get around washing and integrity because of all the feels around it, because it's real, because it is a thing that works, and because it's sounds crazy to people and it's hard, quote unquote, or our fears like take over and it seems easier to ask for money instead. I'm trying to not speak for like every person in every time period of the years this army has been in operation. Like there's no lies of commission. Like when we are in our integrity and we're asking people to make charity, like we need this for our housing. There's no like lie in that fact. Okay, Natty. I don't think that you're asking these questions in good faith. I think you have an idea about us already. So like, why ask? I don't think you really want to know any of the answers to me. I think you have your mind made up already. So you have your mind made up. Go tell your friends we're a scam. But I will, just for the audience and just like in general, talking to this live, having this on record, like we have, most of our struggles, I would say, have come from like the fear of our daily bread, our housing, like being able to pay for our housing the night it's due, and being like, what's going to happen if that doesn't happen? And like calling people and saying, I have like tonight to do this and pay for this, and I need like this much money to pay for the housing. That's true. And like that happens. And if the money comes in, it's paid for, and it's like, oh, okay, we did it. But like, that's not what this army is about. We warp it to be that because we're afraid, because we don't have faith, and because we're like, I don't want to see what would happen if in the 11th hour, like, I don't know, like it's scary. It's scary. So we've like, and since we've been here, a portion of the way we wash is like, we do it in our integrity, and we, you know, there are people who wash belief for any reasons that they want to, and know that we're in a cult and follow the cult. You know, there are people who orbit in all sorts of variations or whatever, but there's like this big block for both of us. I won't speak about your own experience because you're at a different point in it or whatever, but like one of our biggest blocks is fully every single day, everything only coming in through full-on integrity washing, where everyone knows that they're washing. They know what it is, regardless of if they believe in it or not, whatever. They know what it is, and they know who we are. So like,
Are these for me?
No, but okay, you can have some.
Okay, my bad. Ask after I already have one. Can I have one more?
You can have one more, and then I would like the rest. What was I saying? That transition, or like
transitioning into,
yeah, like that's not where we're at. There are a portion of our washes that are not actually washes still. They are charity, because I mean, do you want to talk about it at all? Like that's in the now, like
well,
right
I'm
where
just
we're
trying,
at.
you know, right now, there is an element of me saying, okay, I need to work out this physical barrier, this material barrier, and going and asking for help with getting to figure that part out.
And like the barrier is real. Like the money is to pay for the housing. The housing needs to get paid for. The money's for, I mean, that's not even really true. Like every person uses their money for housing or rent or food. How do I say this? We believe, we make it real for ourselves that
that's the only thing that exists.
But that's
something.
the only thing that,
and that's our own racket that we have.
Yeah. And it's what keeps us at a subsistence level. It's what keeps us like struggling, believing that. And that honestly, that's one of the biggest blocks we're facing right now, is like
making it out of day to day, which
Hey,
you know,
Jake.
we keep ourselves in through having that mentality.
Yeah, through having that mentality. And if we had more faith in the creator, if we had more faith that being in our full 360-degree integrity, no matter how scary it seems to like say exactly what we're doing and who we are, we would have a very different reality. And there's also a level of like, I don't know. I feel like even as I'm saying this, I'm trying to PR the situation where I'm like, why would no one in the pay matrix gives their whole life story in the context of who they are and what they
Right.
do when they're calling someone up on the phone and being like, I got to make my housing payment tonight. No one else is owed that. But then I'm like, yeah, we're not other people. We're in a very specific context. We're doing a thing that's very specific. So it would be in our best interest if we were washing more by saying the difficult thing and giving the story. And like, I don't know. Yeah. So we like are just getting troll after troll in the comments.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Probably because the vibe shift. The vibe shift let it in. I feel like I'm interested in why that's happening, but you know, hate and love are very similar things. What does it mean when you put someone in timeout?
I don't know. I'm just, if you're gonna be rude to ladies.
No, that means block and go away.
Yeah, I don't really know how
I don't really know how to do that on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't really know. So I guess that's research to do for the next one.
Lots of research. Did I finish my thought, really?
Yeah. This person's got to go. I just don't know how to do it. YouTube.
Report? Just remove? I don't know. These are all Jewish people in the comments.
I don't know.
Yeah, they are.
Probably.
Very specific crowd of Jewish people that are like trying to troll you.
Probably.
Yeah.
We don't make assumptions about people's race and creed here. We don't know for sure if that's what's going on. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't want to let the let's get the vibe going back around. I feel like we touched on that topic a good amount. We touched on it from people being very invulnerable. And that's why I was hesitant to even address it in the first place.
I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for the reasons of like us and our exercising our own feels or whatever.
Feels, shames, whatnot. I feel you.
But yeah, no, if someone asks questions, quote unquote, like that, they can be blocked.
Yeah.
That's all that's to be done with that.
All right. So what's the next?
Well, kind of like maybe going off of that, but just talking about the topic when I meant topic number 3 on my notes is like just talking more about the day life Army careers, past to present type deal.
Right.
So we talked a little bit earlier about like our feelings of what it felt like to be here in terms of, we were talking about like washing, I think, and like what it felt like to not wash enough and be here, or what the difference is when you're washing enough kind of and not being here.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I kind of want to talk about related to this topic is basically the like heart of what it is we do here.
Okay.
Like, and I'll take my own story along with this topic. So like the heart of what we do here is we wash belief, we wash our own belief, and we facilitate the washing of belief for other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that process, we talk to people, we say, do you want to buy back your soul? People are like, what the heck does that mean? I have a soul. What are you talking about? Or they're like, tell me more, or whatever. That is the beginning of a conversation that is like a relationship, and it's a long, ongoing conversation. And everyone that's ever come here and tried to do this, the point of contention, no matter what the other reasons may look like on paper or be, or like seem, everyone eventually had to leave because they couldn't do that in full integrity. You know, they couldn't like ask people to wash.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I wasn't here for some of the soldiers, but I've been told, you know, history, and I was here for many of the soldiers, if not, you know, the few, I don't know, 5 or 6 that came before, and then the few after I was here for, but not the 5 or 6 that came before. But like the part of training or doing this where it becomes super, super difficult, and that we are both, well, let me get into my own experience with it more. Like, when I first came here, I would like talk to people about washing, belief. I would talk to people about soul. I would like try to begin to articulate those conversations or go live about that. But I'm just looking back in that context, there were many soldiers. There were other people who were quote unquote washing financially. And I had a buffer. Like, I had a buffer to be able to talk about those things and not feel like my housing was in jeopardy or I wasn't gonna get enough. Like, I didn't feel scared about those things. And like, when the point where things changed, where it was like I became responsible more in my own duties for, like, I was actually like engaging as one of the, if not the only for a period of time, financial washer. That's where I think shit got really real for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it became more of a like actually doing the thing or not, to like and that's when I started being more out of my integrity, and I stopped washing.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at the chat. Like, you came on being like, you guys are schizophrenic, you're scared, is anyone holding a gun to your head? Deleted all the comments and then are being like, never mind, I actually feel y'all and what you're saying.
Whatever.
That's called BPD right there.
The comments are crazy. The people coming around are crazy.
I'm not even gonna say that, you know, the last hour of content has been a little bit like, you know, we've been talking about some tough things. We've both been a little bit triggered. I've been pretty triggered for, you know, talking about some things that I really don't like to talk about. And you came in right after that, but just your switch, and I know who you are, I believe. Like, you're like came from the Young Lean videos and stuff. So I think it's funny. I'm just saying the BPD switch was really good.
You know, it's crazy out there. Yeah, like this stuff that we're talking about right now is the meat and potatoes,
The meat and potatoes
of like what this army is and why it's so difficult for people to do it. So like this is a few years ago or whatever. I'm coming in to like being truly faced with having the faith in my creator of like, I believe in this thing that I'm doing, and I've seen the miracles every time. I have no clue how this is what I'm so obsessed with, is food and housing. It's like the peasant trap. Like, I have seen so many times that the food and the housing gets covered by grace of the creator. It all works out as long as you're just doing the thing. You know, we have the standards. We don't do drugs. We don't smoke. We don't have caffeine. We are working on all of these physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual standards to live most in our humanity. And like, to believe that that would be at least like covering those basic needs by like doing the work, the soft work, the types of work that is not in the pain matrix or is not a real job, it doesn't have a paycheck, it doesn't have a boss, whatever.
Right.
Like that work could cover our housing and our food. Every single day I've been in this army for 4.5 years, it has. I've been able to just wash every day. And I'm talking about wash financially, wash socially, wash with my time, wash all my rackets, wash my problems and working on them. Like doing that every day has made that provided for. But still, when it came down to that period of time where I was like the only person financially washing for the most part in this army, I felt like a tunnel. I felt it really like come all to a head where I was like, no, I need to ask for charity now. I need to tell people that I'm about to be on the side of the road if I don't get this $60 tonight to pay for my motel room. And like that's what I mean by that's not actually real. Like, was that where I was creating things? Was that what I believed at the time? Yes, but like it made no sense because I never had the on the side of the road and nowhere to sleep moment. I never had it, you know? Neither of us have ever had it really. Maybe once or twice you slept on a bench, like way in the early stages of starting this thing when things were just starting to expand and be built, you know? The like salad days where they pretend that's what happens.
We had a car back then.
Yeah, you had a car, so
now.
that's not like actually that because you have a car. So and that's like a sacrifice that's made consciously where all of the people that have, and this is another thing, all of the people that have ever come here as soldiers, including me, have had affluent middle class to upper middle class families that would in a second take them and house them or give them housing. So like that is also everyone who's ever come here and used that, including us, as an excuse or reason to get money. It is a lie. It's a lie. Even if we try to convince ourselves that technically it's not a lie because yes, we use the money on what we say it's for when asking for it. It's like we're creating that reality and we believe in it. And it's stupid to believe in it at this point because through washing alone, we have gotten to where we've gotten today. And only things that hold us back are when we do those things, when we lie through omission or through commission. Like when we don't do those things, everything flows better. We're more in our integrity and we're more to day life standard. Like, I do get because the programs are really run deep. The scarcity programs, the fear programs, the whatever programs, they run deep. But like, I don't get how we still believe that we need to go in the other direction when every time we've been proven wrong that that's what we need to do.
So Meat is asking, how do I join the cult? So we are taking URL soldiers. So that's for people to do it from where they are currently and start implementing standards. But you know, it's a military, so you'll have orders and you'll have things to do, and you'll be, you know, you'll
try washing.
You'll be in the cult. You'll be doing the thing. But it's So how you do that? I guess you would hit up. You would reach out to Sergeant Major of the Army, Mary. Most of all, though, the first thing that you can do to even show that you're someone worth answering a message from, I'm not saying you're not that, but you should make a wash. You should make a wash of belief. Also, just to be very clear, because I don't know who's watching, this cult is for adults. For adult people. I don't know if that's your situation, but
if you want to enlist URL, you have to be 17 or older. And then,
how do you make a wash? So washing is basically making a sacrifice of belief that you have stored in the pain matrix and transferring it into the pleasure matrix. So how to make a wash, like your first wash. You should go ahead and take an amount. We'll start with the easiest way to do it and the way that, most people start with, and it's probably the best way to start, is you make a financial wash.
And then a social wash.
Yeah, but start with I'm just telling, sometimes it can get a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
Making a financial wash is taking, you start with like an amount. We do washes in 12s. So any multiple of 12, and it should feel like you're making a risk and that it should feel uncomfortable. And put the PayPal in there because that's a better one because it's international.
Yeah. And this
and this